cheeseburger, light, and the one true love so right. It's the Power of God's Love podcast, 1057. Hey there, Tony here. Yeah, I'm never going to forget that one fantastically special cheeseburger day. You like cheeseburgers? I like cheeseburgers, but this particular day was the day that I started chasing a particular system away, so it really stands out in my memory. And here's how that cheeseburger day started. For about 13 years, I think it was around 13 years, I was on a doctor-recommended vegetarian diet. That's what the doctors were recommending to me back then. And each time I'd go to a doctor to have my cholesterol levels checked, the bad numbers, that's what they called them, the bad numbers would be higher every time. Yeah, higher. That's on the vegetarian diet. Finally, one day I heard a naturopathic chiropractor with his own radio program in Denver, Colorado, and he was talking about the dangers of statin drugs. Now, of course, my ears perked up because I had already been on a doctor-prescribed statin for almost a month when I heard that doctor on the radio. And Elgeline, my beautiful wife, told me that I looked like I was dying. She actually said that. That's the way she described me to me. So I made an appointment with that guy, that doctor, chiropractor, from the radio. And during my appointment, after he discovered that I was on a statin drug, he asked me what kind of food my grandparents and my great-grandparents had eaten for breakfast in their lives. Can you imagine? That's what he asked me after hearing that I was on a statin drug. So I told him that it was basically bacon, eggs, and toast or biscuits, something like that. Pretty much that's what they ate their whole lives, as far as I know. And then he asked, well, how old were they when they died? And I told him, well, they lived into their 80s and 90s. Now, you're probably not going to believe what he told me next. He prescribed, and I use that term loosely, a good cheeseburger and suggested I started having the same kind of breakfast my grandparents and great-grandparents had. I could have hugged him right then and there, and I'm not actually a hugger. So I didn't do that, but I let him know that I thought about it. I could give you a hug, I said. And immediately after leaving his office, and this is no exaggeration, immediately after leaving his office, Elgeline and I went for a cheeseburger. Oh man, what I had been missing for all those years. And I can tell you that I've been eating meat from that day on, and my cholesterol numbers, they have gone sky high. No, they didn't. They've declined. In fact, my most recent blood test from just a few weeks ago showed a total cholesterol number of 195. They still found fault in it, the doctors and the reports, but a total cholesterol number of 195. That's the lowest I've had in years, and I can tell you that I eat almost exclusively carnivore. I'm not making that up. Not vegetarian. Well, after my visit with that doctor, that chiropractic, naturopath, you can suffice it to say that I got off that statin drug. And as fate, and I use that term loosely too, as fate would have it, about a month later after I quit that drug, I received a class action suit letter in the mail. It was a class action suit, and it was a notification that the drug I had been taking, prescribed to me by a doctor, had been found to be killing some people. Yeah, killing. People were dying from taking that drug, or dying and it was tied to that drug. Anyway, so that leads me to my next point about how I believe drugs corrupt doctors. Yikes, I know that's quite an accusation, but they do. Pharmaceutical companies actually pay doctors in the form of, let's say, meals and talks and travel. And then those doctors are much more likely to prescribe the drugs from those companies. Yeah, it really does happen. Years ago, when I still trusted medical doctors with my health, I remember being given medications to try. And I'm putting air quotes. Can you hear the air quotes? There we go. I'm putting air quotes around the word try. They would give me these medications to try. Yeah, they gave them to me. They weren't even added to my bill. That's what they would do nowadays, more likely. And I never had to pay for them in any way. other than with my health, that is. Have you ever experienced something like that? Well, I experienced that multiple times back then when I still trusted the medical system. Now, why would a medical doctor ever give you a drug and say, try it to see if it alleviates your symptoms? Try it. Go ahead, be a guinea pig. Now, of course, you can't judge a person's heart. I can't judge a person's heart, but you can judge their actions. And when a doctor hands you a so-called free sample of a new drug and says, try it, yeah, you've just become a guinea pig. My experience was with a statin drug because my cholesterol levels were apparently, as they considered them, too high. But according to what standards? Could there be a correlation between pharmaceutical companies and acceptable levels of cholesterol? I'm just asking. I'm just curious. Kind of makes me go, as I said already. Hopefully you know this, that pain is your body's way, through your brain, of letting you know there's a problem. When drugs mask the pain, your brain can't let you know you have a problem. It can try, but it won't get the signal. And most times, whatever that problem is, only gets worse. While you feel like you're fine, or maybe even getting better, a prescription is not a protocol for a healthy, well-balanced life. Now, you can do what you will with this information. I'm just telling you stuff, okay? Only I don't recommend ignoring it totally if you care about your health and your well-being anyway, because I can almost guarantee your so-called healthcare provider doesn't really care all that much. Your best starting point, if you're a Christian, is to ask God for wisdom and guidance. That's a good starting point. And then trust Him to be with you regardless of what you're dealing with or might go through. I believe He will be with you because He says He will. He says He'll never leave you nor forsake you. And then you might consider this recommendation. Try making today a cheeseburger day. If not, then what's your prescription? How do you feel? You feeling real good? But is the good real? Because medication can't cure your pain. You might ease aching, but what will you gain slowing your memory down to a crawl? Consider options. Consider them all. Your life is precious. Give it your best. Give yourself real foods. Trust God for the rest. And God helps you be light in this world. So let's talk about light, okay? And let's wonder about how it works. Imagine for a second that you are light and everyone else is darkness. Nobody likes it when you enter the room and they run for cover as fast as they can because they're darkness and they don't want all that light. They can't wait for you to leave so they can get back to what they were doing in the comfort of their so-called privacy. You're just not welcome in their world because you expose everything they don't want to show. It doesn't matter that you just want to make it easy for them to see. All they know is you're the reason they can't secretly do anything and everything they want. But you know what light does? Light shines, and no wonder darkness disappears. The light of life is Jesus, and He's the one that I just described. Imagine you are light. Well, He is light. He's always been light. He came into this dark world as a light to shine the way to eternal life. And the religious leaders of the day, as well as the secular rulers from back then, they were deeply offended by His teachings and His claims. Their beliefs and traditions were darkness compared to His light, and they hated Him for exposing their hypocrisy to the people. That's what truth and light do. They expose lies, and they make darkness disappear. Trouble is, the world prefers the darkness. When you choose to trust and follow Jesus, you're supposed to become an extension of His light and wonder. And, in fact, you're called to be salt of the earth and light of the world. Now, you know what salt does, right? It causes thirst. Are you the kind of salt that makes people thirst for truth? And light is necessary for life. Are you the kind of light that shines the way to eternal life? Now, you should know when you share your salt and light, you will offend a lot of people. I've certainly offended my share, maybe more. But you might also help save some to that eternal life. And the few who are saved are more than worth the many who run for cover when your light shines in the darkness. So I encourage you, be the light shining bright in a dark, dark world, and be salt that brings on abiding thirst. When you shine, really shine, darkness disappears. You can do what your Creator did first. And speaking of first, that leads me right to my first true love, which lasted about 4.5 years, even though I thought it would be the rest of my life. But the relationship, it didn't endure a separation that happened when I moved to Texas to be there for my dad who was suffering from terminal kidney failure. So I had to leave my true love and go 2 states down south, away from where she was, to be with my dad. And she went her separate way. So much for the first true love, right? And after getting over it, I discovered I could actually love again. Imagine that. Another multiple year relationship developed, and it blossomed, and it went sour, and it ended. So you know what I did? That's when I decided to play the field. And I wanted to see what all the lots of fish in the ocean notion was all about. You've heard that, right? There's lots of fish in the ocean, Tony. Go out there and get yourself another one. And in spite of my Christian background, I vowed that no other girl was going to rope me in. No siree. Enough was enough. And I used my professional musician platform, which was an actual stage, to impress and woo the opposite sex. That's not what I did all the time, but a lot of the time. Yeah, I vowed that if any heart was going to get broken, it dang sure wasn't going to be mine. And that worked out great. Not, because then came the pesky consequences. Guilt, shame, conscience. A still small voice would confront me each time I did what I shouldn't do. I was able to ignore that voice for a few years, but it was there each time anyway. Oh man, why wouldn't that voice let me have my fun? Why did it have to be there every single time? Eventually, I discovered that's how my actual first true love works. Confrontation when I needed it, instruction, deconstruction, accomplishments, and even failures. And most of all, a light, getting back to that light again, a light on the darkest parts of my heart. And that's because my actual first true love was God's enduring love. I discovered again and rediscovered His love is bigger than problems. It's more valuable and dependable than feelings. His love has endured every stupid mistake I've made, and there have been more than I care to admit, believe me. Now that's amazing grace. Thankfully, the consequences of love from God include eternal life. Hey, that's a good sounding consequence, right? Yeah, I'm so grateful and thankful God never left me. He never gave up on me. And He still works on me when I stumble back into my own self. There's a comfort and joy in His love that no human being anywhere can even remotely match. But you ask Him for it and you can get it. And it'll last forever. And it's more real than any heartbreak or loss you'll ever experience. After studying evidence for decades, I'm more convinced than ever of the reality of our one true living, loving Creator. Nothing and no one else could explain love. Love didn't evolve. It's a gift from God. And because I can love, I do love Him.
What made you think that I was worth the risk you took? What made you take the time to write your holy book? I don't believe I'd give myself a second look, but you did because you love. You made a world that was as perfect as could be, but then I broke it when you gave it all to me. by going through the gate you made to set me free. This you did because you love me, because you love me so. In spite of all you know, because you did the most that you could ever do. Because I clearly see evidence of you in me. Because I can love, I do love you. You put a life and a will inside my soul. You knew true love would be to give me full control. But knowing you is all that ever makes me whole. I trust you because you love me, because you love me so. In spite of all you know, because you did the most that you could ever do. Because I clearly see evidence of you in me. Because I can love, I do love you. I can live because you live, and I can love because you love, because you love me so. In spite of all you know, because you did the most that you could ever do. Because I clearly see evidence of you in me. Because I can love, I do love. Because you love me so, in spite of all you know, because you did the most that you could ever do, because I clearly see evidence of you in me, because I can love, I do love, because you love me so, in spite of all you know, because you did the most that you could ever do, because I clearly see evidence of you in me, because I can love, I do love you.
Yeah, it's important to remember that you and I are capable of love because God loved us first. His love is the first and last true love you will ever have, and it will be eternal. And if you love or even like anything that I've shared with you this time, we should stay connected. And you know what? I've made it super easy to do. All you got to do is go to TonyFunderburk.com and get Tony's daily devotional delivered to your inbox for free. It costs nothing to do. All it is putting in your email address. I'll send you good stuff based on the power of God's love. Good stuff like what I've shared in this podcast episode. And to show my sincere appreciation for your time and attention to doing that, I'm going to send you download links to music and the very first 6 days. And that's a rhyming book for kids about the creation week. Kids and parents all over the place have enjoyed this book, and you should get one for your kid or grandkid today, if not sooner. Go to TonyFunderburk.com, put your email address in. When you get the confirmation email sent from me, confirm that that was you and you really want it, and you'll start getting that stuff from me right away. And that does it for this episode. As always, thank you for tuning in. It means more than you'll ever know this side of heaven. And as I always recommend, go out and look for an opportunity to share the power of God's love.